Welcome, Facebook, YouTube,
Yes,
live
hello
here.
everyone.
That little man over there, who's not as little as he used to be, is Anthony. I am Daddy. And let me take care of a very quick issue of if you might hear something in the background that you shouldn't hear. But we are here to talk not just sports, but some really cool things that are involved with sports this week.
Yes.
So you'll first notice what the two of us are wearing. Tell them about that jersey while I take care of a little technical issue.
So this is the Brewers Navy blue jersey, and we're wearing jerseys because, as you can see in the background, hopefully, in memory of Jackson Sparks, an 8-year-old from Wisconsin, who was killed in the tragedy in Waukesha in a Christmas parade, and he was a baseball fan, played baseball, so it's a nationwide thing today. People wearing these jersey, sports jerseys in honor of him.
And on my end, I'm wearing the greatest baseball jersey ever made, the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers Cecil Cooper Road throwback jersey. It's all about today showing your love with the thing that Jackson Spark loves so much, which is baseball. And this was something where it was just one individual in Greendale, Wisconsin, who found out about that story and decided to do something about it, about his love of baseball, and said, like, you know what, everyone, especially after his mom had said, parents, make sure you have your kids who are going to the funeral wear baseball jerseys. The guy was like, let's get everyone out there to wear baseball jerseys.
Yeah.
And if I already explained something you explained and I missed that, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I didn't explain that.
But the fact is that it expanded more than just Milwaukee.
Yes.
In the Milwaukee area. You had people across the country wearing their favorite team.
Yes.
To honor Jackson's life.
Yeah. I saw. I was looking at all the people who did it. Even the Villanova baseball team, and you had a whole bunch of baseball teams in Wisconsin, all over the nation.
Yep. Brian Anderson, yes, he's the TV voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's also the top baseball voice on TBS, one of the top basketball voices, if not the top on TNT.
Yeah.
He was doing it. You had reporters from MLB Network doing it. You had Sarah Spain from ESPN at least getting the word out there to do it. She may have done it. I'm going to have to go back and check her social media. So out there, I know it's late tonight, but if you got a baseball jersey at home, go stick it on as you watch this and honor Jackson Sparks, a life taken way too early.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we know about that for many reasons. Too many lives taken too early, whether it's in violent situations. We know that very well here in Philadelphia, where the murder rate has been ridiculously high. And we're praying for those families. We're praying for Jackson's family. And hopefully we can all be part of that solution.
Yeah.
Chime in. While you're watching today, we are going to be talking about our favorite sports rivalries.
Yes. We're also going to be talking about your favorite travel destination, starting with D.
Gotta speak up with the letter D.
Yup.
Cities, states, countries, destinations that begin with D, and your favorites and what they are. Also discussing your experience, something that we had a very powerful video this week about our experience of moving from Milwaukee to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Pretty emotional video, which a lot of you watched. Thank you so much for all of you who saw that.
It was awesome.
Tell us your experiences if you've ever moved to a different city. And yeah, we'll discuss that. We have a lot more as well on the discussion. Before we even get into it, Wayside Way, you are still in Texarkana, Texas. You wouldn't mind visiting a place that I know a lot of you out there have had a chance to travel to among your international travel destinations, Dubai.
Yes, Dubai is one of the Dominican Republic, Denmark.
In terms of countries. But when you think of Dubai, what do you think of?
The Burj Khalifa thing.
Tallest building in the world. You saw what had been the tallest building in the world.
Yeah, we went to New York. to see the One World Trade Center.
Upcoming video in the next couple of weeks.
That was awesome. Best birthday ever.
That was absolutely nothing compared to what the Burj Khalifa is. I believe it's more than 2.5 times taller than the Empire State Building or the One World Observatory, any of those great tall buildings in New York.
Yeah.
To me, Dubai is like Las Vegas on steroids.
Yeah, in a way.
It's a city in the middle of the desert that has just got ridiculous levels of money and people who are willing to spend it and make it a destination out of nothing.
Yeah. Other cities here in the U.S., in fact, you've got Daytona Beach, you've got Denver, Dayton.
Which we want to go to, by the way, Denver to catch Brewers Rockies.
Dallas.
Where we want to go to see Brewers Rangers, the Texas Rangers in nearby Arlington.
And we've been there, Detroit.
Detroit is an incredibly underrated city. We fell in love with it when we went there. The downtown there is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the game experience was fantastic. How much of that do you remember besides the game?
I don't really actually remember the game that much. I don't really remember much. It was so long ago. But I have, that idea in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Adventures of Scott and Michelle. Michelle working overnight. Love the Brewers Road jersey. Best.
Which one?
We both have.
Yeah, I've got the road alternate front now, and he's got the 82.
Wayside Way chiming in the Empire State Building with an airship dock to it. That is a crazy piece of history. I'm just imagining Marvin Martian, the Looney Tunes character, landing on top of the Empire State Building, making. We gotta screen cap that. We gotta add that to the bloopers. Many of you out there probably know who Marvin Martian is. It's just funny. Just funny. I won't do the impersonation. I won't scare you away.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
All right, on to discussion number 1. Marquette, Wisconsin.
Let's go.
It is the one rivalry in the state of Wisconsin where there's actually division among most of the people who live there. You talk about the pro teams that are there. All the pro teams, Packers and Brewers and Bucks. Most of the people in the state love that team.
Yeah, it's a pretty big majority.
University of Wisconsin football. Most people in that state,
they're the only D1 team.
Love the team. They're the only Division I college football team in the state of Wisconsin. Marquette and Wisconsin basketball is different.
Oh, yes.
And once a year, they'll play on the hardwood to determine the champion of the Cheese State when it comes to basketball.
Like UW Green Bay and UW, they can't compete.
University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee, University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. And this game has become, to some people, a bloodthirsty rivalry.
I explained it to one of my friends at school today as a sacred event to Marquette fans. It's almost that.
It is. But it's also a weird one in the sense that, to me, there's a decent percentage of people on both sides who absolutely cannot stand the other and loathe them. Absolutely loathe the other team.
Yeah. And
then there's that percentage that grew up in the state, especially if they grew up in Milwaukee and are like, yeah, if I went to Marquette, I want them to beat the Badgers more than anybody. Or reverse if they went to UW-Madison.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're not playing each other, they like each other.
Exactly. And I'm kind of one of those people, but it's not like I don't cheer for Wisconsin in basketball, but I don't cheer against them. It's just they're there.
They're there. And some people are that way.
I'll cheer for them when it comes down to the tournament. I'm gonna cheer for Wisconsin because they're one of my quote-unquote teams. I follow them. I know what's happening, but I'm not a huge fan.
While we discuss this, chime in and tell us your favorite, most fun, intrastate sports rivalry, a geographic rivalry that's within a state, that's within a city, that's a fun one for you as we continue this. And we'll also go in with a couple of comments. Adventures of Scott and Michelle. Dodgeville, Wisconsin, a great small town near Governor Dodge State Park. and House on the Rock, a couple of really good tourist destinations, especially House on the Rock. And then you mentioned the light color blue jersey from the 1980s, the great Milwaukee Brewers throwback road jersey, which I've been blessed to own. Sky blue jerseys are as good as he gets.
Oh, yeah.
Color powder blue, the Marquette Championship blue.
Woo!
It's my favorite college basketball jersey that there is. Harrison Sawyer joining us, saying, hi, guys.
Hey, Harry.
Harrison, tell us, Harrison, your favorite interstate or intrastate or intra-city sports rivalry that's within the same state or the same city or within a very, very, very close geographic area, what those European sports fans would call a derby, even though it's spelled like derby if you think Kentucky Derby, but it's just different pronunciation. That's all it is. But back to the Marquette-Wisconsin rivalry. I grew up in the state of Wisconsin. Marquette football is undefeated since 1960. They don't have a team.
Woo!
So I grew up a Wisconsin Badgers football fan. So many people that I know went to the University of Wisconsin. And I had this attitude before I worked for UW football broadcasts, by the way. Even back when I was at Marquette University, I rooted for the Badgers when they didn't play Marquette. But I wanted them to beat Wisconsin more than any other opponent.
Yeah.
My attitude is, it's like playing your brother.
Yeah.
It's like playing your sister. It's like playing a member of the family. If we're on the hardwood, I bet you that you probably want to beat me one-on-one more than anybody. And it's okay if that's the case.
Maybe, along with some of my school friends, maybe. Fall up against.
There's no one he wants to beat more than me. But I would hope you would root for me if I'm playing somebody else.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like playing your brother.
Especially in Marquette fans' shoes, your big brother. Wisconsin has always had the
size advantage.
Yeah, in the state behind it. When you think the state of Wisconsin college sports, that W immediately pops into your head.
Exactly.
It's iconic.
Exactly. So it's like playing a family member.
Yeah.
And I think what really convinced me of that was in the 2003 NCAA tournament when the two teams played each other. And although they didn't play each other, I correct myself. They did not play each other, but they played in the same regional, in the Midwest region, along with Kentucky and Pittsburgh when they got to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. They were all based in Minneapolis at the old Metrodome, the Humpty Dump, as we called it, because it was a dump of a dome stadium. But you had the Sweet 16 matchups, Marquette against Pittsburgh, Wisconsin against top-ranked Kentucky.
Oh.
The Marquette fans rooted for Wisconsin, and not just because they were playing number one Kentucky. When Wisconsin lost that game, the Marquette-Pittsburgh game was next. The Wisconsin fans stuck around and rooted for Marquette, which goes against this whole theory of we hate each other. No, we don't. We don't have to.
Same thing. Marshall, West Virginia. They were in the same region, and the fans were there for each other's games, cheering each other on. You want to cheer for each other, and you want your state to do well.
But I feel like that's a very different thing than many of the intrastate rivalries that we see in the United States and around the world with like derbies and soccer derbies, for example.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned a few of them right here. Harrison, you talked about, Yankees, Red Sox. You can't stand either one of them, but you love seeing them play each other.
I love that one.
That's not an intrastate rivalry, but it's close.
And it's one of the best in sports.
And you mentioned one of Seminoles versus Gators, Florida State against Florida. Last week.
I don't remember who won, but I did see that it was an interesting game.
And it always is.
Yeah.
Those are the more bloodthirsty ones. If you go to one of the universities, you almost automatically hate the other.
In FSU, Florida State, Miami, Florida, Miami, it
same
goes
thing.
All the way around.
I mean, Florida, Miami don't play as often as Florida State and Miami do because they're in the same conference. Same thing with baseball rivalries that are in the same city. The L Train series, the Cubs and the White Sox, the Windy City series.
I was thinking
you
about
mentioned
that
that
one.
Adventures of Scott and Michelle. That one is war. That one is war.
Yeah, and the White Sox don't even own any part of the area, which is kind of crazy.
If any of you want to see a really cool and fun interactive map, there's one that the New York Times did.
Yeah, in like 2013, it's an MLB map where you can see all the fans. Very interesting to see the percentages and how the Cubs own all of Chicago.
They do it by zip code. They do it that close based on social media and I think other factors that they were able to study. They got all the data and figured out that even in the areas within and surrounding where Comiskey Park, I want to call Comiskey, it's not guaranteed rate field. Right. You know what? I don't necessarily think that was the case. It's the case with the Yankees and the Mets.
That might.
But I think the White Sox and Cubs.
Or maybe they own like one zip code, but it's something crazy like that. Wayside Wade, I did see you said Packers, Bears, not interstate, but so close. And it's, again, Yankees, Red Sox, Packers, Bears. They equal each other.
Kicking It Country joining us. Thank you so much for chiming in from the great state of North Carolina. And I know which side you are on when you discuss maybe the greatest of all intrastate rivalries, UNC
Woo!
and Duke. That is one where you absolutely want to destroy the other one's humanity when they're on the court. It is war.
I gotta say this though. You know, hey, I love Coach K, but go Tar Heels. Go Tar Heels. All day, every day in that one.
I have all the respect in the world for Mike Krzyzewski as a basketball coach and as a human being in so many ways. My issue with Duke is more the fan base.
Yeah.
It is an incredibly arrogant fan base.
Not all fans, but some.
Some. And I've heard too many situations with Duke fans just treating the opponents horrifically. Yeah. There was one case, I forget the team, but there was a player on the other team that was playing at Cameron Indoor Stadium, one of the great basketball venues in the world, on the Duke campus. And this player had just lost his grandma, was shooting a free throw. And during the free throw attempts, the fans there were chanting, "Where's your grandma?" That is classless.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
It's absolutely classless. And, you know, it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Kicking It Country showing his love of said Tar Heels there. That's one of the great college basketball games you'll ever.
Oh, I love that one.
That's one where you actually put it in your calendar if you're just a sports fan.
Yeah, that's like Packers, Bears, Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants. The White Sox do own actually a good amount.
Going back to a previous topic
of the area
of how much of Chicago is majority White Sox and how much of it is Cubs. And this is the crazy part. If you really zoom in, yes, U.S. Cellular Field, now called Guaranteed Rate Field, is on the south side of the city. But if you really look at the map and you see where the divide comes, it's like downtown Chicago is actually more White Sox than Cubs.
Somehow.
Which is crazy.
It's shocking. You always thought that the White Sox, you always think the White Sox are the less followed team. The Cubs, I cannot stand the Cubs. They, to us are arch enemies. But the fans show up.
Yes, they do.
And
they do. They
have a really passionate fan base. When they come to Milwaukee, I don't like them.
Because they take up so many of our seats
and they
Milwaukee's home stadium, Miller Park, now called American Family Field. They call it Wrigley North.
Well, they also call it Drunkland. Sometimes, yeah.
In many ways. Whoa! Kicking It Country vlogs telling us North Carolina Duke tickets, $2,500. I believe that. It's still crazy.
Well, while on the other side, I was just, looking through the NFL games. ESPN says lowest Colts at Texans tickets, $8 a piece.
You go to an NFL game for $8.
Yeah, like plus
Houston.
parking, but if you park,
I mean, you're gonna pay $50 for parking
Yeah.
probably near the stadium.
yeah,
Right?
but like $8.
That's not bad.
$8. But you're gonna see a. Actually, I don't know. You might not see a blowout. The Texans beat the Titans. No, I'm kidding.
We'll get into NFL discussion in a little bit. But another thing that to sort of link our topics here, that North Carolina Duke game, when it's at Cameron Indoor Stadium, that's in another D travel destination.
Yeah.
Durham, North Carolina.
I've been near Durham.
It is a beautiful campus at Duke University. I will give you that 100%. More D travel destinations. I automatically think of, if you love to travel to far off lands, the city of Dakar in Senegal.
Senegal?
The nation of Senegal.
I ain't never heard.
In Africa. It is a beautiful.
Oh, that's
beautiful
why.
land.
That's why I haven't heard of. Yeah, right now.
It is a beautiful spot.
I'll know about it in a couple months when we do Africa in school.
If you go to Europe, Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, Dublin!
That's one of the cities I most want to travel to.
I think about Dublin. Oh, I want to go to Dublin.
Tell us your D cities, countries, states, places where you want to go for travel. And there's an obvious one that we haven't mentioned yet that begins with the letter D. Take a guess.
I said DR, I said Denmark, I said Dubai, I said Detroit, I said Denver, I said Dallas.
I'll give you one pretty obvious clue. Big ears.
Big ears? Okay, I'm really tired right now. So I'm not.
Past the normal bedtime, but.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Disney!
Oh, I saw that. Okay, I was thinking.
How many people in this world, even just in this country?
Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Europe, Disney Asia, Disney this.
Bucket list. A Disney property.
Yes.
Go every year. One of our favorite YouTube channels, I believe it's Fun and Fancy Free Floridians. I forget if that's the name. I apologize if I have it wrong there. Mark and Jen. But they now moved to Orlando, Florida, and they're huge Disney fans. They can go any day they want.
Yeah.
Adventures to Scott and Michelle. You mentioned at Disney World.
Thinking rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go with a whole bunch of these throughout Europe soccer. But the Glasgow rivalry.
Oh, yes.
Catholics versus Protestants. You've got
Glasgow Celtic
FC, Glasgow Rangers. They play, and it is a literal holy war.
It is a literal holy war, and you want to emphasize the word war because you are involving a lot of the recent history of the last 150 years in Scotland and the Irish diaspora after the famine there. And just like some of the immigrants went to the United States, they went to West Central Scotland and settled in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
The Catholics especially there. The Protestants weren't happy. The Protestants had their soccer club. The Catholics had their football club, their soccer club. They started a rivalry. They started a series. And they become two of the prime soccer teams in Europe. Not just in Scotland, but in Europe. When there are games there, there's almost always a fan who dies. Or at least is so seriously injured, they have to go to the emergency room in the hospital. There are so many fights on the streets. The fans in the stadium sing anti-Catholic, anti-Protestant songs against each other. And it brings up the wars that were in Ireland over the past 100 years. It is bonkers. There's another rivalry that is connected to D as well, if we're talking about European soccer, in Germany. Bayern Munich against Borussia, you mentioned it earlier today.
Yeah.
Dortmund.
Dortmund. I don't know how to say
It's
it.
the big yellow and black team
Yeah.
in one of the loudest stadiums in the world.
Oh,
80,000 seats, and 25,000 of them aren't even seats. You just stand and watch the match.
like we're talking like Arrowhead loud.
Louder. Louder than Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Because you have one wall behind one of the end zones, behind one of the goals, where 25,000 people will stand packed like sardine cans and scream their heads off. It's bonkers. Adventures of Scott and Michelle. You mentioned another D locale.
I like
Dollywood.
Yeah. One of my friends, go check him out. American Football Network. He goes to Dollywood all the time. Tells me how cool it is. I want to go there. Tennessee in general is awesome.
Anonymani really wants to go.
Oh
there.
yeah, Pigeon Forge.
She's upstairs
Smokies,
right now.
Yeah, you might hear.
Taking the country vlogs, telling us you live about 2.5 hours away from that locale. I can imagine that has got to be such a fun tourist attraction and a beautiful area of the country with the mountains there. I would imagine that has got to be just spectacular. Talking about sports rivalries within a locale right here in Philadelphia, we have one of the best, more than two team rivalries that there are.
Can I try to name it?
Let's first say what it is.
The thing.
It's the Big Five,
The Big Five
college basketball rivalry here in this town of Philadelphia, where 5 storied programs play each other at least once a year against each other. Tell me if you can name all 5.
Nova, Villanova,
Mm-hmm.
St. Joe's,
Mm-hmm.
Drexel, Penn, Temple.
You got 4 out of 5. Drexel is not one of those teams technically.
Who's the fifth?
LaSalle.
Oh, LaSalle. Oh.
LaSalle with Lionel Simmons back in 1990, making the NCAA tournament and upsetting teams, getting into the Sweet 16. And of course, you had Temple, that's been a regular tournament team for about 30 years. St. Joe's has made the tournament a few times. They were number 1 seed, I think, a while ago. Penn, one of the great original basketball programs.
Ivy League.
I'm taking you someday to a game at the Palestra.
And at Franklin Field, though.
Oh, yes.
You got to go to a game at Franklin Field, especially next year, the 100th anniversary.
100th anniversary of that incredible and awesome historic college football stadium. But that arena, it's small. It's like an oversized high school gym. But you can just feel the history in that building.
Yeah.
When you see games there, and the fans are right on top of the court. Such a fun atmosphere. And, of course, 3-time NCAA champion Villanova. They've won 2 championships the last 5 years, I think, right?
Hey, it's Dante. Well, in the last, 6, 7 years, something like that. Our guy Dante DiVincenzo
from the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right. Here out of Philly, especially, I think, out of Delaware, I'm pretty sure. He is awesome. He's been injured, but, the big ragu, Mr. Italian, he's awesome.
100%.
And there's so many good players out of Nova that I'm just not thinking of.
Oh, I mean, the list is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. We will definitely be catching some Marquette Nova games since we moved here. That's going to happen. Maybe not necessarily this season, but in the near future.
Sure.
You talk about some of the other great rivalries. Yankees-Mets. That's the one where the Yankees even have more fans than the Mets do, where the Mets stadium is and surrounding it.
I feel bad for Mets fans.
I get you. And then in Los Angeles, they got a bunch of great rivalries in that town.
Oh yeah. Ducks Kings.
Dodgers Angels.
You have Rams Chargers. Isn't really.
It's not. It's gonna get there, but it's not there yet.
They're not in the same conference.
Basketball.
Lakers Clippers.
None of those rivalries top the best of them. UCLA, USC.
Oh.
In football, especially.
Bruins Trojans. Always a great game.
Basketball,
Always.
certainly, but especially football. The rivalry is just bonkers when it comes to football because it happens the last weekend before Thanksgiving when the students are still there. And the two teams' fans, the student bodies, are known for making mockeries of each other's statues on the campus. Like they'll like put shaving cream and mustaches on like the Trojan or something like that. I think I've even heard stories where they tried to steal the statues and like put them away and
Burn them.
and not
That's
burn them,
impossible.
but like try and steal the statues. Talking about the Duke rivalry, kicking the country vlogs. You've got a Duke boy there coaching Pitt. I forget the name. I should know this off the top of my head.
Marquette.
I do not remember.
Former Marquette coach. Thank goodness he's gone. Steve Wojciechowski.
He wasn't a bad
coach.
guy, but he wasn't a great coach.
He wasn't a great coach. He didn't get us past the first round, and it really was annoying.
He recruit for anything.
He's a great Shaka.
Marquette's new coach.
Shaka is like the kids that he running. Or maybe Wojo brought him in, but Shaka's been coaching these guys really well. The freshmen have been back to Marquette, Wisconsin. I think Marquette's going.
Marquette is the underdog in this game.
They are.
They are the underdog in this contest. Because Wisconsin is ranked. They're ranked number 23.
Wisconsin is ranked. What's their record? What wins?
I forget how many wins, but they only have one loss.
Oh, okay. To Providence.
And Marquette is not ranked. They've had a couple of dud performances after beating West Virginia, after beating Illinois.
Didn't they only have one loss? Jeff
Capel, you mentioned it. Thank you very much, Kicking the Country Vlogs. But
Marquette only has one loss, don't they?
Right, the St. Bonaventures.
Yeah.
Which, when St. Bonnie's.
St. Bonnie.
I mean, I believe that they lost to Northern Iowa, I think. They lost to Northern Iowa, I believe, earlier this season after beating Marquette. But St. Bonaventures, the way they played against Marquette, they could beat anybody.
Hold up.
They could beat anybody.
I'm coming right back. I need to see. I
can look it up right here for you.
Well, I'm also about this.
But I'll race you. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There we go.
Stuff is happening on his computer.
St. Bonaventure, Northern Iowa. Let's go to the game. So, yep. Northern Iowa won 90-80.
Oh, that's sad. And
but yeah, watch for the bodies. They're a team that can do some damage in the NCAA tournament.
Wisconsin, though, I need some more information about them.
While he looks that up, have any of you ever moved to a different city? Earlier this week, we had a chance to share our most emotional video that I think we've done on our Stories series of when we moved, and you saw a lot less of him, a lot of me, which probably drove you crazy because you saw this balding head too much. But just how challenging it can be to say goodbye to a city that molded you, a place that molded you, a place that made you who you are.
Yeah.
Have any of you ever done that within your own lives? And what was that like for you? Where did you move from and to? How hard was it? And what was the good fruit that came from your experience? We'd love to share that.
Right here. So Wisconsin blew out St. Francis Brooklyn. Held UW Green Bay to 34 points.
But if you really look at it,
right here,
there's a quality win when they upset Houston.
Yeah, 15 Houston, 65-63. They lost to Providence, beat Texas A&M by 11, and beat St. Mary's, quality school, by 6, and beat Georgia Tech by 4. This game, it's interesting, and I think Marquette can do it.
Oh, they can do it.
And they will do it when we...
James and Madison. Remember that. Adventures to Scott and Michelle saying you can say the same that what we talked about with Marquette's former coach, Steve Wojciechowski, about most Chicago Bears coaches since Mike Ditka. Nice people, but not the best coaches.
Matt Nagy.
When you think about the fact that in 28 years, the Bears have won 4 playoff games.
I thought they only won 1.
No, that's the Detroit Lions. The Bears in 28 years have won 4 playoff games, 0 championships.
I'm shocked they won 4. I thought their only one was against was the divisional 2011.
No. They've won 4 playoff games.
Okay.
Remember, they went to a Super Bowl back in 2006.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Kicking It Country Vlogs. Big Ten killing ACC this year in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Big Ten can play some basketball. Buddy said you got some revenge with Carolina beating Michigan. I was at the office as that game was going on. I didn't get a chance to watch it. But, yeah, go ahead. Beat Michigan. All you want.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Enjoy it. Have at it. Do it. Wayside Wade. Leaving the small town to attend college was a challenging transition, but you met a couple of great friends at the University of Wisconsin. That is such a massive campus that makes it so easy to meet people.
Yeah.
I would imagine you'd get lost in a campus of 45,000 people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wayside Wade, so I'm guessing you're on the Badger side of that, or?
And if you are,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
No problem.
We have no problem with that.
I went to Marquette, so they really made me who I am as a person. So I got to stay loyal to them, but I have no problem with Badgers fans at all.
And I'm a 3rd-generation Marquette fan, so I got to keep his mom, my grandma, him, and me. Keep it going.
And here's the other thing. I know so many people, especially who live in Milwaukee, who have season tickets for Wisconsin Badgers football and Marquette basketball. We have this weird rivalry.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. Where it's like you want to crush the other team when you play them on the court, but you root for them every other time.
And we love the Badgers in football too. That's everyone's team. That's our
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the games coming up this weekend.
Okay, NFL, college, what do we go?
We'll start with college because that's tomorrow.
Well, we've got number 9 Baylor at number 5 Oklahoma State. Give me Oklahoma State.
What is that going to decide?
The Big 12 championship. If Oklahoma State wins, chances are into the playoff. Assuming my next matchup here, Alabama loses to number 1 Georgia in Atlanta. It's a highly anticipated matchup, but the Dogs are going to win. They're so much better than the Crimson Tide, who barely escaped Auburn.
Yeah, they did. I haven't followed stat since we looked it up a few weeks ago, but at the time, the University of Wisconsin had the number 2 defense in all college football, about 14 points a game.
I think they might not have the number 1. No, I don't know.
Not in terms of scoring, because
Grundy, they got the number 1, I think.
But they had the number 2 overall scoring defense, giving up a little more than 14 points a game. Georgia, the number 1 team, was giving up less than half of that per game. Less than a touchdown a game. That's ridiculous. That's why I think Georgia's going to win this game.
Yeah. Next, number 21, Houston at number 4, Cincinnati. Yes, I said at because it is in Nippert Stadium, home of the Bearcats. I've got Cincy. Let's go, Bearcats. I'm cheering for them. I want them to make the playoff to make history.
We'll chime in real quick. Adventures to Scott and Michelle. Sick of Alabama winning all the time, so go Georgia.
And he agrees with that. My grandpa, my mom's dad, was a big Alabama fan, so I like them. I'm not a fan of them, but I do like them, so. Quickly,
Wayside Wade, I'm actually not into sports much. I get a kick out of the 2 of you, that is all. Big time appreciated that, Wayside. Big time appreciated. Thank you for Cheeseheads sticking together.
Yes. Next, number 2, Michigan against number 13, Iowa. This is going to be a defense game.
You can see 17-10.
But Michigan's going to win. Iowa doesn't have an offense. They don't. So, give me Michigan here. And then last we got Pitt, Wake Forest. This has no implications on the playoff. But it can decide a New Year's Six Bowl berth. The winner of this will go to a New Year's Six Bowl, either the Fiesta or the Peach. Give me Pitt. I can't stand them, but give me Pitt.
Adventures of Scott and Michelle saying Cincinnati for sure in the American Athletic Conference Championship game.
Go Bearcats.
There isn't as much NFL for us this week because the Packers have a bye week, which they desperately needed.
all that's there really this week. You know, there aren't that many good matchups. You got the Chargers at the Bengals. That's decent, I guess. You got Broncos Chiefs is decent. Washington.
That's an old rivalry.
Washington Vegas, I guess decent. The only really good game, Monday Night Football, Patriots at Bills. I think the last matchup of the season in between the two. That might decide the AFC East.
With the way the Patriots have been playing, they're all of a sudden turning into maybe the best team in the AFC and your Super Bowl favorite, which, of course, I'm sick of, but that's Bill Belichick for you.
I'm actually taking Packers Patriots right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
I see it being a great game. I've heard people say that we can't get past the Bucs, but this is the year. This is the year I think. This is it for Packers fans.
Once the year that they have to get it done.
Yeah.
Because odds are Aaron Rodgers is leaving.
And
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams.
I have to make sure to explain that Devontae Adams. And this year the Packers have the defense. They actually have a top flight defense for once.
Without Jair Alexander, Pro Bowl corner, and Pro Bowl linebacker Zadarius Smith.
So, and with them back, watch out. Watch out.
Don't know about Zadarius, but last I saw, Jair Alexander coming back week 14. I think that's Packers Ravens.
Which we're going to, by the way.
I'm pretty sure that's the week he's coming back because this is week whatever it is. I think it's week 12. And week 13 we play the Bears and the Ravens.
Adventures of Scout and Michelle, you just reminded us of one of the great intra-city rivalries in football lore that is being recast in its current form this Sunday with the Chicago Bears taking on the Arizona Cardinals, which were originally the Chicago Cardinals.
Well, the Bears were originally the Decatur Stallions.
And the Cardinals are the oldest franchise in pro football. I believe they even started before 1900.
Maybe, I don't
know. They were playing football.
Yeah, and asking about that game, you will win if Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are out. Game time decisions. I'm sorry, but I hope Murray plays for the sake of my fantasy team because he's going to get points.
One of the interesting things, too, about that Cardinals franchise, they technically their first name was not Chicago when they started. The Racine Cardinals, not Racine like the city Racine, but in Chicago they call it Racine because it's the Racine neighborhood of Chicago.
I did not know that.
And so people might get confused by that. They started in Little Racine, Wisconsin there?
Hold on.
No, they didn't.
There was an NFL team in Racine.
Yes, there was.
Weren't they the Racine Tornado?
That sounds right. One of those 1920s era teams.
At one time,
they had so many small towns.
At one time, there were 4 teams in Wisconsin. You had Racine, Kenosha, Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Badgers, undefeated since 1925.
Yes.
And the Green Bay Packers.
And only one of the small town teams survived.
Yeah, the Badgers would have survived if it wasn't for them cheating and using high school players because they had to go out of business because they didn't have enough money to afford $500.
Man, so a very interesting sports weekend to come.
Yeah.
Tell us what you got planned real quick before we wrap this thing up. What do you got planned this weekend, all of you who are still watching us?
Oh, the one thing two quick things we forgot to talk about. Brewers trade for Hunter Renfroe.
Yes, from Boston.
And there is a lockout, sadly, in baseball. Hopefully we'll get that solved. While on the other side of things, the Bucs signed DeMarcus Cousins and Wesley Matthews. I'm excited to have Cousins. I'm excited to have I don't know. I'm starting to get more and more excited to have the Marquette grad Wesley Matthews back.
That's a good story. I don't think he's as effective as he used to be.
Yeah, he averages like 12 points.
Cousins is going to need a lot more.
Yeah.
So
especially with Lopez out.
By far. All of you, thank you for joining us again for our Sorgi Sports Weekend discussion, sports and travel, and so much more.
Yes.
We will have a video coming up. I think we're actually going to be doing it Monday, not Tuesday, because of my work schedule and me needing to be in the office So it changes things around a little bit with my schedule. So we're going to be doing Monday with our video release of the final piece of our moving vlog series.
Okay.
Well, the city of Philadelphia, we're not going to say too much more than this. Where the city of Philadelphia threw one of the greatest move-in parties you could ever see.
Yes.
That's all we will see. Oh, real quick, Michelle, Adventures of Scott. Michelle works again tomorrow night. Hopefully she's lying so that maybe you can go up to the state of Wisconsin. Are you going to the game? Are you going to the game? That would be fantastic. We would be jealous at the game at the Kohl Center in Madison, which is a fantastic college sports atmosphere. And Harrison, we big time appreciate it as you are editing and recording your next video. You're taking breaks, you're listening to us.
Nice.
And you love watching your conversations. We love giving them to you.
Yes.
It is a ball to do it.
And I hope you're gonna have a great trip. I think you're gonna be out for most of the rest of the month on vacation. So I hope you have a great trip.
Everyone who's watched this, follow each other.
Yes.
Follow each other's channels.
Awesome.
Support each other. Absolutely. We'll be back as well Friday night next week, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
9:30 Central.
We shall. I think we're still going to be doing that.
Yeah, we should be.
For little buddy, I'm Daddy. Can you take us out?
So long from Sorgy Snorri Studios in Philadelphia. We are